Hi, everybody. So today I want you to meet Ray, and Ray is on TikTok, and she had a video the other day, and I went totally like, oh, like I was like, oh my God. And what she did is she condensed all of the hidden history information into a TikTok video. And then she said my name at the end. She goes, go see Honey See Golden on YouTube. And I was in awe of this and contacted her right away. So Ray and I have been chatting and we know each other. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
fun stuff we're going to talk about today.
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
so excited. So excited. I'm so grateful for you to have me on your channel. It really was a fangirl moment when you got on my TikTok and you're like, "Hey, it's Honey." So yeah, I'm just honored to be here, and I've watched so many of your videos and seen so many of your other people you've had on here, and I'm just like, "Wow, I'm part of the club."
You are definitely part of the club. And I'm excited to have her stuff's going to be below and she's building her YouTube channel. So definitely go subscribe because she talks about all the same stuff that we all want to know about. So go
Right.
look at that. Yeah.
And I do a lot of channeling too, so I think that's kind of been my main focus lately. And that's the things I want to be posting on YouTube is the direct channeling from the different ETs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah. That's brilliant. Yeah, I love it. So we're going to try and define some things that her followers have questions about today. And this might help you guys too. Yeah.
yeah, I think this is I'm really excited. And then we're gonna go live on TikTok together too at the end of the week.
Yeah.
So then all of my TikTok people who don't really do YouTube or whatever, they can come on there and we'll probably cover a little bit of the same stuff, depending on. So my first question actually that
Okay.
a lot of people were commenting on the video and I had to look up what this meant, the firmament, because I didn't know what the firmament was, and I apparently it's a biblical term and I was raised Christian, so I'm like, how do I not know this?
Yeah.
But I'm curious to what your if you can explain like in your own words like what that is.
Yeah. So the firmament. So if you think about, I wonder if I have that. We'll have to do without the picture today. But you guys remember the picture. So we have Earth, and then we have a blue line around Earth. So we have the toroidal field of Earth, and then there's a blue line. That is the firmament. So basically,
Mm,
what we're inside of, we have the dome that's inside of that. So just think of it as a circle around the earth, and that's the atmosphere. So the
okay.
firmament contains the atmosphere,
Okay.
and we're inside of that.
Okay, so I think people were confused because they're thinking that the dome covers the entire planet. Therefore, they're thinking that like if the dome goes away, then the firmament is going to come into the planet. But
Well,
it's because they're not realizing the dome is just this small little section. It doesn't cover the whole
it's
planet.
a quarter of the top.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm curious too, because in your drawing, I know it was just like a quick drawing, but like what's in between the land masses at the top and the land masses at the bottom? Like what's in that middle part?
So nobody lives on the outside of the blue area. Maybe I should pause and get the picture.
Okay.
Okay. Hang on one sec. Okay, so we got the picture. So here's the picture, guys. And you can see this blue line around the shape of the earth. And that's the firmament. So that's the atmosphere. And space is on the outside of that. And we're inside of that in this dome. So when the dome goes away, we still have an atmosphere. So don't be
Is
stressed.
is the firmament liquid? Is it water?
No, it's just like I mean, there's water in it, but it's the air that we breathe.
So, and then you've talked
What
about
they
how
call the
space.
firmament, I think, is the top. It's the separation in between. Just like the two oceans, the Pacific and the Atlantic, how they don't come together completely and they're a
Mhm.
different color. It's like that. It's like they just can't mix.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. Well, and then because space, as you've said, is actually like liquid, like plasma, right? Like a
Yeah.
liquid. It's not thick. And I totally am like, yep, yep. Like soon as you said it, I'm like, oh yeah, totally. But I think people on my videos have been concerned that it's water, like space is water, and then that we're gonna get flooded when the dome comes down. They're
No,
worried about getting flooded.
you're not going to get
So
flooded. And it's
yeah,
kind of like a jello-y, like it's thick. It's a
yeah.
thick liquid, and it can't merge with the other stuff. And I'm trying to look for another picture that might help, but I don't see it. But anyway, we found that one. So hopefully that helped you guys.
Yeah, I think that was yeah, that was perfect. So the other thing that people have been, okay, so the whole firmament flat ceiling thing, people saying it's a flat ceiling. It's technically it's like it's around the whole
Yeah,
Earth.
the whole Earth.
Not flat.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So we got that answered, that answered. Okay, now the other thing, there's two things that are kind of related. So the concept of like the pilots that have flown around the globe, right? So in my mind, I was like, okay, it seems like there would be some sort of diversion where they think they're going straight, but they end up just going in a big circle, like around the circle. But I'm like, you know what I mean? How would they not see
I
the
feel
ice
like
wall?
I think they have to sign an NDA. And I also think that they do route them in ways that will make it seem more curved because
That's what I'm
it's
thinking.
very slightly curved.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know,
Because it's like,
we're in a
you know,
quarter of it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So then you think that, okay, so you think it's just a secrecy thing. And then what about
Actually,
like
it's both. Yeah.
running into the ice wall? Like, like wouldn't that, I don't know. How is
I
that
don't
now?
think they're not allowed to get that close to that
But
wall.
like, what do you mean? It's like they would just what?
Well, that would
Divert?
take their courses are all plotted.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
So like all the courses, like when you're gonna fly, they're all plotted how you're gonna get there. So they already have their route, and I'm sure all the routes are set up by.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And then also, so then the same thing would be said for the astronauts then, right?
Yeah, they didn't go anywhere.
Oh no.
Yeah, that was
That part,
all fake.
that part is really throwing people for a loop. The astronauts thing, because they're like, I refuse to believe that the moon landing wasn't real.
It
But it
wasn't
didn't even,
real. What's his name admitted it. I can't remember his name.
I heard that on his
Yeah.
deathbed, he admitted it.
Yeah, but there was one, he admitted it to a little kid. I can't remember his name. He's still alive, I think.
Oh,
Yeah. And he was in that movie with Woody and Buzz.
oh,
Yeah. I can't remember totally. But I mean,
I
it's
don't
even
know.
on TikTok. It's on there. Just go look.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but he admitted they never went.
See, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, but people get coerced to say things all the time. So that's why I think so many people are like, how do we know who to believe? Like, how do you know? Like, anything could be a lie and anything could be true. And that's why my whole message to people is you have to use your own intuition. This
Yeah.
is not about like, oh, what are your sources? It doesn't matter what that person's sources are, because people keep asking me, where are your sources? Where did you get this information? It doesn't matter where I got it. It's up to you to tune into your own inner knowing and
Yeah.
decide if this resonates as true or not. And so many people don't know how to do that. And so I think, yeah, I think it's just, that's pretty much what I'm trying to accomplish with my TikTok and the
Mhm.
healing that I do and the readings. I'm sure your sessions with people are similar. It's
Yeah.
about empowering them to trust themselves,
Right.
right? And
Yep.
that takes so much practice, like years and years of testing. Like, okay, I'm
Mhm.
going to listen to this and I'm going to do that and we're going to see how that works. Okay, we're going to, you know what I mean? Like trial and error. That's just,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Listen to your body though. Listen, I find that if you don't really know how to do it, if you listen to your body and you notice what it's doing, like if it's getting tense, then it's
Right.
not okay. If it feels really happy and loose and comfortable, then it's probably okay for you at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, another question I have is about why the dome has been allowed to stay in place for so long.
Yeah, so it's been there 1,000 years. I think that a lot of it has been the free will part of it. And also, I think it was supposed to stay there for 1,000 years. A lot of this stuff is preordained. The problem is that when the Greys came in, they really made things bad.
Yeah, so we know the Greys are gone now, right? The
Yeah,
Greys
they're
have
gone.
been like we've kicked them all away. But a lot of their leftover, like in my sessions, I'm finding their dead technology still in
Yeah.
people's bodies and their etheric bodies. So I've been doing a lot of removals with that. But why? Okay, so my whole thought of the dome is that originally when it was placed, it was like you said, it was like, we're going to keep you here until you learn your lesson. But I think it was also a like a protective measure too, to
Hmm.
kind of keep the rest of the earth like safe and try to like
Yeah,
minimize the damage pretty much being
exactly.
done.
Yeah, because
Um,
they were back and forth. The polarity between the Anunnaki and all their descendants and everybody they created, they've been fighting for like 50,000 years, is what I always get.
right.
So the ETs were like, okay, enough. And the ones that were instigating it and picking on people and they were the negatively polarized, they went into the dome. And all of the people that had chosen to be, which we choose our life when we before we come in, had chosen to be their slaves, they were in the dome with them.
Mm.
Yeah.
Choosing by giving up power pretty much is sometimes
Yeah.
what happens. We choose by not choosing, essentially, sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, so the whole polarity thing. So I want to talk a little bit about the pole shift or what your thoughts are on that. And I also want to talk about that concept related to the earth being like a cell that is dividing itself, right? Like, if, like, because so I haven't posted this TikTok yet, but because I need to re-record it because first I kept trying to record it and the information, it was just so much information. I couldn't like condense it, but I feel like I got it now. So
Okay.
basically, I keep getting this vision of the beginning of everything. So I'm like seeing source, right? And like
Mhm.
this source. And then I'm like, okay, so what happened next, right? Like what was the next step? And the next step was division. So in order to expand, there has to be separation. There has to be division. Um, so when it comes to like pain and why pain and trauma and all this exists, it's from the original division of source from itself, right? And that limited perspective where now source was only partially connected to itself, so it could only see part of the picture. So there was the confusion of like, oh no, I'm separate from source. Oh my God. And then it's okay anyway, but yeah, so I'm gonna have to keep posting it. There's so much more because it's about that's how sacred
It's
geometry
hard to
was formed.
grasp. It is hard to grasp. And
That's
it
how sacred
once you grasp
geometry,
it, then explaining it is even more even
right? Because I
harder.
can see it. I can see it
Yeah.
all. I can see it. And then I'm like, okay, so how do I? So, anyways, so essentially that's how sacred geometry was formed, was the push, and that's how magnetism was formed. Pulling and push, pulling and inhale, exhale, pull, push. So like energy would go out and come back, go out a different way, come back, go out a different way and come back, go out a different way and come back. And that's how the flower of life is formed,
Mhm.
right? So anyways, but if we take that concept and we put it onto the planet, right? And we put it onto ourselves, we're all evolving in that same way, by
Yeah.
separation, by division, by expansion of perspective. Um, but the main thing is that pain is caused by confusion. Pain is caused when we don't have clarity, we don't see the
Mhm.
truth, which is that we are all one and we're still one with source. There has never been separation. We've
Right.
always still been one. So separation is an illusion, and that illusion creates the illusion of pain, right? So
Exactly.
anyway, yeah. So
Exactly.
unity. It's all about unity,
It
which
is.
we know, but
Yeah, unity and sovereignty, being you at the same
Yep.
time. Yeah, because you're an expression of God source, and what matters is being yourself. So anything that's interfering with that, you want to let go of.
Exactly. So we just have
Yeah.
to get over the fear of letting go of things, because I think there's so many people, that's the big thing, is like when we live with less attachment to people, to ideas, to beliefs,
Yeah.
to our appearance, right? Like it, other people, they don't understand, and so then we start to question ourselves, like, wait, is this wrong? Like, am I not supposed to be this way? Just because there's less people that have kind of,
Mhm.
I think, gotten to that place on this planet. Like we're the leaders, we're leading the way. So,
Right.
but yeah, it really is all about letting go. But I always say it's about appreciation without attachment. So you're appreciating something, but you're not trying to hang on to it. You're still loving it and appreciating it, and you see its value, but you're willing to come, in and out of it.
Beautiful. I love
Right.
that. Yeah.
Um,
So as far as the earth separating, when I asked my higher self, I did get that there would be a hologram that would separate, and it would
yes.
be a small percentage of people that would actually go there. And these would be service to self people. And they
Okay.
would get to live the experience that kind of the Edgar Casey type, prediction of what the earth was going to be like. Basically, more water would be infiltrating the land. They would be lonely because there wouldn't be very many people. So they'll get to live that experience. And some people will leave on ships. That's their experience that they're, here for. So it just depends on what you came here to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing is people are it's so hard sometimes to open your mind to realize that, like, all the theories could be true in a way,
Mhm.
rather than being like, no, my theory is right, and sticking like, no, this is it. It's like, well, like when people
Oh,
are going to disappear. Well, yeah, some people, are going to literally just zoop, they're not going to be able to handle the new high frequency
yeah.
after that solar flash that we're going to have.
Right.
And then, yeah, some people are like, no, we're all going to leave on ships and go to the ETs and that. Well, some people are going to do that, and well, no, there's going to be a new Earth. And no, okay, well, some people are going to, it's like all of these theories have truth to them.
They do. They do. Yep. So if you don't resonate, then if it doesn't feel good to you, then it's not your truth.
Right. And your truth is still out there,
Right.
it's just about becoming aware of it. Yeah.
Mhm. Exactly.
Yeah. So
If
with the pole shift, let's talk
Oh
about the
yeah,
pole shift. Isn't the pole shift kind of related to the actually, no, I don't know. I'm less familiar with this part.
I think it already happened.
Okay.
So I want to say it happened around 2012,
Okay.
and because I want to say they're Eskimos up near the North Pole, which I don't think is the North Pole. Anyway, they're up there and they said, okay, so the sun is setting on this side of the mountain and now it's setting on this side of the mountain. I think we've already had our magnetic shift, and people have
Okay.
been talking about it a long time, that we're still shifting slightly. But the golden age timeline, according to my higher self, we're not going to have all this, natural disaster that destroys tons of like cities and all that kind of thing. So,
So how would the pole shift affect, like, I haven't noticed, okay, for example, would it only affect parts of the planet? Would only parts of the planet see things differently?
well, I've seen the sun be in different places already, like one day. And so I don't really think it's affecting much of anything, to be honest. So,
Huh.
but the sun has been like three mountains over one day, and then the next day it's where it used to be.
Huh.
So there's some things going on with that, but I actually think has more to do with the dome itself and what they're projecting on the dome
Right.
than what we're actually seeing. Because if you think about it, we're only in part of it, so everybody would be experiencing this, not
Right.
just us. And
Right.
I think we're fine because Earth is
Yeah.
pretty stable. She rotates like this. So like
I
this.
freaking knew it. Yeah. Yeah. instead of like, I don't know what they used. I never have been really much into the astronomy,
Yeah.
so I don't even know like which way she's supposed to be, rotating.
It's like she goes around the sun supposedly in 1 year, which would
Mhm.
mean there could not be anything in space. She'd have to have all this open room to do that. And I get it took 10,000 years to get around the sun.
Oh, wow. So then,
I
oh, I
know.
see.
Yeah.
But then your calculations are saying one rotation like this is like 36 hours, right? Ish.
Yeah.
Like one, okay.
Yeah. And that, I mean, she's moving through a jello like consistency of a substance. So it's taking a long time, you know? It's like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm getting through it. I'm getting through it, you know? And then she's finally around it 10,000 years later.
Oh, that would make way more sense.
I don't know. That was the thing that was really hard for me to pull through because I didn't want to even relate to it. And I had a friend who's like, but what about this? And what about this? And then it finally came through. And I'm like, okay.
Some of it is harder to grasp than others.
Yeah.
So I also see, because as she's a toroidal field,
Right.
my whole like I see the like land mass is kind of going in like
Yeah.
over like a really long period of time, but like did you call it the folding or the you
Yeah.
called
So
it?
when there's a folding, it's like when the tectonic plates come together and yeah. So it is recycling very,
Yes,
very slow.
exactly. It's like this motion, but really, really slow,
Yeah.
essentially. And that would explain why, like, part of why we find things in places underneath the ground where we're like, wait, what? Like, why? How? And we find things in weird places. Like, this is supposed to exist over there, way over there. Why is it over here? And that would make sense. Eventually it'll come back up. It'll like just get regurgitated back to the
Yeah.
surface.
And part of that too is, how do I say that? Like there's the things that are going on inside of inner earth are completely beautiful in comparison to what we've been experiencing because the middle of earth is a crystal and
Right.
that's where sixth density lies in that layer. And then above that and below that is fifth density. And then on the other side of fifth density is fourth density positive. But they
Right.
had to fight as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah. The whole Lord of the Rings.
yeah, I was so excited when that came through.
Seriously. And
Yeah.
how many people already kind of thought it was real, like a lot of people. So
Yeah,
just that confirmation is so cool. Like, we were right.
exactly. And there was like a revolution in the 60s when my parents were young, you know? There was this
Uh-huh.
revolution with that book and they were writing like in the subway like Frodo lives and everybody was so excited about it and it just recreated itself again later on.
Wow, I never
Movies.
heard that. I never knew that.
Mhm.
That is so cool.
Yeah. So there's a lot of good stuff. But the inner earth, I don't think we'll get to see that right away. I think that's kind of,
Yeah. Same. So that's
yeah.
same. So actually, okay. So through your connection to all this stuff, it gave me access to this information. So I've been doing some of my own kind of exploration and channeling, and talking to the Tartarians a little bit too, and trying to see like how more of like details of like, hey, so when are you guys going to come here, and like, am I one of the points of contact, because I think I am.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so who am I supposed to be connecting with, and maybe we should get connected now. So yeah, I got this image of these shuttles, so these like hovering shuttles that they're going to kind of bring into certain areas to like transport people to safety when everything is kind of, because there's going to be some chaos. There's going to be some
Yeah.
chaos. And there's going to be people who choose to just stay in fear and just like try to shut everything out, and they're just going to try to ignore it and be in denial and just like, but then there's going to be those who are like, holy freaking hey man, we should like try to get somewhere else that's safer than this, like to the mountains or to the forest,
Right.
so they're going to come in with these shuttles and they're going to help us, and they're fast. I think they can like portal, they can like go through portals and stuff. It's not like you have to drive a bus,
That makes sense.
yeah, and they're going to help us get to safety
Yeah.
quickly. So I'm like, I just want everyone to know that, right? Like, we're not going to be just stranded when there's these earthquakes and like power's out, and like we're not going to be stranded. We're going to have help.
Yeah. The most shocking thing will be that as somebody is upgrading, if their body hasn't been upgrading at the same rate that yours has, you'll be awake and they'll be like passed out. And you'll be like, what do I do with this person? How do I help this person?
Okay.
So that's going to be probably the most like intense thing. And they'll be fine. You just have to wait it out, get them
Yeah.
comfortable. But those shuttles, that's hilarious because that's how we would travel. Those shuttles would pick us up and take us to the trains in the future, the underground trains. And then we would travel like really fast through those trains.
oh, cool. Yeah. Yeah. It's so crazy.
It
The
is
other
crazy.
thing too is the whole Middle Earth. That's where like the Fey realm is, right?
Fourth density positive. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what I thought. One of my friends asked that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the Lord of the Rings area, like if you want to think of it that way, the Fae live there as well. So that's where the fairies are and the Fae folk and the elves, everybody.
The elves. Yeah.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of I've been noticing. Do you do channeling? Like channeling messages directly from
No, everything comes through my higher self. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
I
It's in,
think it would have been fine to do that. Like if you learned how to do that before everything kind of went nuts, like you did, but to learn that right now, I think is a little dangerous.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, because of the whole underworld,
They're
everything's
all crazy right now. Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. I had some reptilians in my house the other day. So that was weird. I'm like, how the fuck do you guys get in here? Sorry, am I allowed to say that
Okay.
word on here on YouTube?
Yeah.
I
Just
don't know.
don't say it twice. It's fine.
I swear a lot. It's just part of my vocabulary, but I'm gonna but yeah, it was really shocking. And then I've just been seeing a lot of things with my clients too, just weird. One of my yeah, they're targeting the bright lights right now. So
They are. Yeah.
yeah, so and they're coming in pretty hard too, like like intense. So
Yeah.
I lost my thought on that, but
That's okay.
oh, you said the
Yeah, to learn to channel right now,
yeah,
I don't think it's wise to learn how right now because you just want to talk only to your higher self and then
right,
get information from your higher self right now. But later on, it's going to be fine.
right. And
Yeah,
that's what I was say is before. So I've always
you've done it
so
for a long time, I'm sure.
yeah, ever since I was young, I would like type questions and then I would type the answer. So I would just be like, okay, but I would just assume I was talking to God because I was raised Christian. So in my mind, I was like, oh, I'm just going to ask God in infinite intelligence source. I'm just going to ask, he knows everything. So let me just
Mhm.
do, 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 do. So I would just like ask the question, no matter how sad or depressing it was. And then I would just kind of wait for that answer. And then it would be this conversation. But then that kind of developed. And then last year, when it's kind of crazy because I always knew aliens were real, but I never knew anything about aliens. I never
Mhm.
ever tried to learn about it, or you know what I mean? And I knew crop circles were real, but like I said, I never looked into it. But I got a message from it
Yeah.
wasn't my higher self. It was like not my higher self, but it was strange. It was very strange because I wasn't used to receiving communication from any beings other than my higher self or source.
Right.
But yeah, so yeah, it's a learning curve, and like you said, it is a lot more dangerous, especially because you don't. you have to be so in tune with truth that you know for sure that you are communicating with a benevolent being, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
But
I
yeah,
think a
the
lot of
galactic,
people have been fooled recently.
yes,
Yeah. So
the
it's
Galactic
actually really
Federation, the Galactic Federation of Light was the first communication I had with ETs. And then it just after that, then I learned about Starseeds and then I just started diving into that. So, but yeah, I think there are specific people that are appointed to do that at this time, like people like me. And that's why they keep to the ETs keep telling me, hey, we really need you to get these messages out. There's certain messages we really need you to get out. And I think that's why I'm feeling the pressure is because they can't the messages can't come through everyone. There's an appointed group of people
yeah.
that have access and that have this safe connection.
Right.
So yeah, it's
Well, and you
important.
kind of choose what you're going to do before you come in. So that was your mission
Right.
before you came in. Yeah.
Right.
And I think your higher self is right there with you the whole
Yes.
time, making
Yeah.
sure everything's okay because you've had that connection for years.
Right.
So,
Exactly. And that's how I was able to tell that when I was getting this communication from this other energy that it was something different, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
that makes
And
sense.
then now I can just channel people's soul family. So like I do readings with people and I'll connect to their past, their
Your
connections and
family. Hmm.
their specific like star family and spirit guides, and specifically sometimes their ET friends that are trying to tell
Help.
them stuff.
Hmm.
So that's been really really fun and so beautiful to like see people be like, oh my god, they're still with me, like
Yeah.
they're like they're communicating with me still, and I knew it. I love that. I love giving people that confirmation.
Yeah. That's beautiful. There's a lot of people that are being watched over. And I think all the star seeds are being watched over by their friends that they say, okay, I'm going to go in. And the other friends of theirs, their soul family, they're like, okay, we'll watch. We'll make
Yeah.
sure it goes well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And I actually had the pleasure of dreaming about my I don't know if it was just before if it was okay, so it was this brief moment, it was just a flash, but it was an actual dream when I was asleep. um and I saw we were in this like it's like a spaceship. I could tell it was a spaceship room, and there was all these people in white lab coats. And now that I can look at the memory again, I can see some of them were ETs, but when in the dream they just looked like humans. But then now that I'm looking back, some of them were ETs, but they were in white lab coats, and there was all this like technology on the wall, these computers and buttons, and then I got into this tubular device type thing, and I think that was me going that was when I was being transported and
Hmm.
sent down to the 3D. But I just remember in that moment, like one of my people coworkers or whatever looked at me, and I just looked at them like, all right guys, it's time. All right. Like, okay, here, because I knew I was going to forget everything. And I was,
Yeah.
that moment of anticipation when you're like, okay, this is it. Like, this is the reset.
Yeah.
I'm going to forget everything and I'm going to just start fresh. And I'm choosing to do this and I want to do this. So, yeah, I had that flash of that memory, and that was really cool.
That's cool.
Really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's our people. There's more of them out there looking after each one of us. It's not like one to one. It's like there's
No.
more of them, way more of them.
Yeah, I think we have at least five, at
Mhm.
least, of the ETs that are watching over each one of us. And then you have a Tartarian that you're going to meet up with. It's going to be your like mentor on Earth kind of
Yeah.
thing. This is how this works. And we're going to accelerate over this next 50 to 60 years in a massive way so that we can catch up.
Right.
But
Right.
this decade is going to be the wildest decade.
So when do you, oh man, I'm so excited. And that's the other thing. Like, I know that you and I are a little bit different generation. I think you're a little older than I am.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm sure this is a huge relief for you, but definitely for myself, I know that struggled with my mental health since I was, 13, 14. Um, and just kind of like knowing that the kind of like quiet knowing of like, it's going to get better. Like, don't worry, it's going to get better. Like something's going to happen that's going to change things in a really big way. Like knowing that. But all these years of just kind of waiting, all these years are just kind of like, okay, well, am I wrong? Am I crazy? Is something really going to happen? Like, you know what I mean? And finally, we're starting to see evidence, and we're starting to see the physical, the glitches, right? Like the glitches people are telling me on my videos, they're seeing a lot of repeats. Like I have too. You'll like see a scene right before you'll like, I'll be walking my dog and I'll see like a couple of these cars and a specific cat and a specific person. And then like 5 seconds later, I'll see that same 5 second scene. It'll be like repeating itself. And I'm just like, wait, what? Like, what just happened? Did we just like reverse time for a second? you know? So there's a lot of glitches, and it's just so like, like a big sigh of like, okay.
Yeah, because that's the beginning of the beginning of the breakdown of the matrix. Those glitches.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Finally, I feel like there's so many of us that have finally had that switch of like, oh my God, I actually want to be here for this. I actually want to stay. Like so many of us wanted to leave. It was just so hard. And, it's been so, so hard. And that switch of like, ooh, wow, I feel happy. I actually feel hopeful. Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're in that, and I don't know how old you are, but to me, you're in that bridge category of the healer and the builder.
Yep. I'm 32. I was born in 1989.
Yeah. So, yeah. And I graduated high school in 1989. So that's, our age gap. But so I'm a healer. And I knew a long time ago that I was supposed to speak to the world, and I didn't want anything to do with that, but I was pushed into it. So, but Ray, you're in the middle. Like you're the person that's going to pull the builders into being okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I absolutely sense that, because every time I look at the traits of like indigo child or, the 3 waves and all that, I'm like, man, I'm really like a blend of a couple of these,
Yeah.
And I also had the sense of, like, hey, you're going to be a voice. I heard the like exact phrase I heard was that I was going to be a voice for my generation. But I also was like, what? I don't know. Like, I like to talk and I like being social, but like having all those people looking at me and like relying, like trusting, I don't know. That's a lot of power. That's a lot of power.
Responsibility.
And it's easy. Yes. Yeah. And I don't ever want to misguide or mislead anyone. So yeah,
you're always checking yourself. Like, am I still okay? Am I giving the right information? Like it's a big source of responsibility to be a voice for other people. And when you're watching us, you always want to be checking with yourself. Like, okay, is that good for me? Is that not good for me?
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Like I appreciate it when I get comments that are like genuinely asking questions that might seem like conflicting, or like they're like, I don't want to start any drama, but like I don't understand how this can make sense with something else. And I'm like, thank you. Like that, we need that, because what if I hadn't thought of that perspective, So
yeah, we all have a slightly different perspective.
Right.
That's exactly the beauty of it, really.
Exactly. That is the beauty of it. I'm curious too to talk more about the Tartarians. And I know you talk about that on a lot of your videos, but I'm curious more about the I guess more like the logistics of like how. Okay, so I know there's going to be a lot of people that want to just leave this place. Like as soon as everything comes down, they're going to be like, get me out of here. So how soon do you think it's going to be before we are acclimated enough that some of us can migrate over to where the Tartarians are?
I think we'll get access to what's just outside of the ice wall, but still inside of the dome. So that's going to be all these other continents where everything is beautiful and it was created for the elites. So that's all getting cleaned up out there. And then I think those shuttles will actually give tours eventually of
Oh,
the outside. We're not going to be just like, okay, let's go on vacation.
right,
We won't be able to understand a lot of the stuff that goes on out there. Like
right,
we wouldn't know how to use the technology. We may do something like push the wrong button and make
right.
a mess. Like who knows? So we're going to have to kind of be escorted for a little while.
I just heard visitation days. I just heard visitation days.
Oh,
Like we're
perfect.
gonna we're gonna get to have little days where it's like a what's that called? Like a field trip where we get to like go and
Yeah,
like you said with supervision and like learn stuff. But I'm curious. I'm hearing like
2030.
5 years. I'm hearing like 5 years that it's gonna take ish for us to like know enough to eat to be able to like consider moving over there. Do you think they're gonna let some of us move over there?
Oh yeah. I think first it'll be moving to the outside, outside the ice wall,
Right.
and then eventually it'll be migrating farther. I think it'll depend on the person. A lot of
Yeah.
it's going to depend on the person and your mentor. So your Tartarian mentor is going to know what you're ready for as well. Yeah. At first, they're going to help us with humanitarian stuff and technology and how do we do this? How do we accomplish this in the best way? But if you think about, they're moving from third density into fourth density positive as well. So, and I don't think they have any fifth and sixth density beings out there that have chosen to come in a human
Oh,
body. Yeah, so they're actually younger souls than some of us are, but they've had the advantage of being left alone for 1,000 years where they were
right.
uninterrupted and they didn't have all their stuff destroyed all the time.
Yeah, that makes sense. That interesting thinking about they've just evolved naturally here. Wow.
Yeah.
I never
So,
thought that way. I know the other day you said you had one, you were like, I have one seventh density friend who's having a rough time. So I'm pretty sure I'm a seventh density being. I'm fairly positive. I had my cosmic origins report done, but that also brings up the question of the validity of, astrology, because of like what's even real or true or
right.
accurate. Um,
So I would say you're definitely seventh dimensional,
okay.
sixth density, but
Oh,
mid. Yeah. So density is more the physicality of a being, like what physical, what did my body look like in the last lifetime? So think about like,
okay.
yeah, and then the dimension is where your consciousness is at.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So the dimension, that's more what I'm thinking of. Because I
Yeah.
know I've remembered being just like a light body. I've remembered being like just part of sound and light, like without having any
Yeah.
physical. So anyway, yeah, I think that was just I wasn't sure about the difference density and dimension. I
Because
thought those were
the
the same.
seventh density, they don't ever have bodies, I don't think. So, and this is a child. So
Oh,
that person is a child. And I'm like, are you sure? Because I don't think any seventh density being would want to be here. I was talking to their
uh-huh,
mother
uh-huh.
and she's like, it's so hard. He's
Wow.
having such a hard time. So it just depends. And maybe he just got into seventh and has decided to have a body, but sixth density is like millions of years.
Hmm.
So, like,
Interesting.
but I've been not had a body for long periods of time. My dad, who's a walk-in, he said, "Oh yeah, you were excited to come have a body again."
Oh yeah.
You told me. And I'm like, because I wanted to do stuff, like touch stuff and make things. But
Yeah.
yeah, but your dimension that you're from is your consciousness. So your consciousness, I mean, it's
Yeah.
I don't know, unstoppable. I guess it just can keep going up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Well, I'm glad you're here with a body too. I'm glad we
Yeah.
got to meet up. Got to meet
Yeah.
up, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. But you're an older soul than I am.
Okay.
So think about that. Like you've been around longer than me. So I'm just gotten into sixth density, and you've probably been in sixth density for like, I don't know,
You
maybe a
know,
million
have,
years.
have you heard of the overseers, or have you heard that term, the overseers?
Hmm.
I've been feeling that I'm an overseer. So whenever, like throughout my life, even as a young child, I would always act like I was like an authority figure. And then people would be like, who do you think you are? You know? And
Yeah.
like, for example, like telling people like, wow, good job. Thank you for doing that. And they're like, okay. You know? Like for example, I took a Reiki course, and my first Reiki course I ever took in Huntington Beach. And I remember sitting there in the class, just watching the teacher, and my higher self was just smiling, beaming at her, like, you're doing such a good job. Thank you for doing like your role. Thank you for fulfilling your role. Like I run into a lot of people like that who are teachers for me in this 3D, but
Mhm.
I'm actually their like elder checking in to see how they're doing. Like, hey, just
Yeah.
wanted to let you know, like I see how you've evolved. Good job. You got that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
just so interesting.
I was like that as a kid too. I was
Yeah.
horribly bossy as a child.
Oh, me
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was my brother's favorite thing to say to me. You're not the boss of me.
Right.
Do you
Exactly.
have siblings?
Yeah, I do. Two younger brothers when I was out
Oh, me
foster
too. Two
homes.
younger
Yeah.
brothers.
Mhm.
That's funny.
That is funny.
Same.
Yeah.
Wow.
This was
Wow.
fun. This was
This was
so much fun.
so fun.
Yeah.
So fun.
Do you have
Thank
any?
you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I'd love to do an interview with you and Elisa,
Yes.
because
Yep.
I received that, our little like past life, we all knew each other, and it was all different stages of who's in, who's doing what
Yeah.
up there in space. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I resonate with Lisa a lot. I'd be really excited. I feel like we could. I feel like her. If I were to be with her on here and she'd be talking about stories, I think I would get some activated memories of like things that we've done together.
I think so too. I think it
Yeah,
would be great. So yeah.
yeah. Cool. Okay, so cool. All the information is going to be in the below in the thing, all of
Mhm.
our like my YouTube and TikTok and stuff. And then I'm
Yeah.
going to post, I just want everyone to know I'm going to post a like promotion video for me and Honey's little chat on for
Yeah.
TikTok Live.
Yeah. And
So,
I can send you this too. So you can
yeah.
pop it up.
Yeah. Yeah. Should
Yeah.
I, do you think I don't really use YouTube a lot. Should I post this on my YouTube channel as well, or just,
Yes.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
How am I, how are you going to be able to send that? We'll talk. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.